The undefeated Denver Broncos and Terrell Davis against Jacksonville. Davis was going to run for 136 yards in this one, but it was John Elway who got Denver off to the fast start. Ed McCaffrey, 41 yards for the touchdown. Denver 31-7. They lead opponents on the first possession of the game. Mark Brunell fumbles. The former Barcelona Dragon Keith Traylor recovers the fumble. Terrell Davis goes in from 4 yards out, and 4 minutes into the second quarter, it's 17-3 Denver. But Jacksonville gets back in the game. Fred Taylor, playing with the injured shoulder, makes it 17-10, and then with the score 24-10, Jason Elam kicks a 63-yard field goal, 4 seconds left, ties the NFL record. 27-17 now, and Terrell Davis bursts away, 37 yards for the touchdown after Damon Jones had a 31-yard pass to bring Jacksonville back in the game. Davis still on the ground, and this run put him over 1,000 yards for the season, the third back in history to cross the 1,000-yard mark in only 7 games. And the first 2 of those were Jim Brown in 1958 and O.J. Simpson, who did it twice in 73 and in 75. Undefeated Minnesota traveled to the Silverdome to play Detroit. Touchdown Tommy Bardell, only gains 9 yards, but loses his hat on this one. Bardell got his hat back. Barry Sanders never loses his. He loves the turf in the Silverdome. Here Sanders goes for 37 yards. Watch those cuts. That led to a Jason Hanson field goal of 47 yards and made it 3-0. Detroit in the lead in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Randall Cunningham, the little screen pass to David Palmer. Palmer takes it 23 yards, and that sets up Cunningham to find Jake Reed on the fade pattern. 11 for the touchdown, a 7-3 lead for the Vikings. Sanders now trying to make something out of nothing. Watch Charlie Batch, the quarterback, throw the block there. That's a crack Batch block. Barry Sanders gains yardage out of that one. Then goes to Johnny Morton for 14 yards and a first down. Looks for Johnny Morton on the other side of the field, 20 more. And then on 3rd and goal from the 1, Batch goes to Johnny Morton one more time, 1 yard for the touchdown, and it's 10-7, Detroit in the lead. Action in the third quarter now with the score tied at 13, and Randall Cunningham finds Chris Carter 10 yards out, makes it 20-13 for the Vikes. And then Robert Smith, a little icing on the cake. He bounces off a couple of tackles and takes it 57 yards. Everybody's worried about those 3 receivers. Robert Smith in for the score. 27-13 Vikings. And with Batch having to throw the ball, cornerback Jimmy Hitchcock picks him off 79 yards on the interception return. Remember, this is the guy who wasn't good enough to start for the New England Patriots this year. I think Pete Carroll would want him back. And Randall Cunningham, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Brad Johnson should be back next week for Minnesota, but what do you think Dennis Green's going to do there? Speaking of Pete Carroll and the Patriots, they were down in Miami. Dan Marino back in the air, but Marino's picked off by Larry Wiggum. That was the first of 3 interceptions that Marino threw. The second one of them coming right up to Willie Big Play Clay. Clay returns at 19 yards, but the Patriots were unable to get any points out of either of those 2 turnovers. 3-3 now. Drew Bledsoe looking deep. Sean Jefferson, 36 yards. That led to Adam Vinatieri's second field goal of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, less than 2 minutes to go, New England leading 9-6. And no, this isn't the World Series. Oronde Gadsden makes the catch, takes it down to the 21, and that set up Olindo Mare for the tying field goal. And that sent the game into overtime. The Dolphins win the toss. They want to receive. And Marino, back in form, hits O.J. McDuffie on a beauty. That put the ball into Patriots territory, and that was all it took. 4.5 minutes of overtime. Olindo Mare, 43 yards for the win. In overtime, 12-9. No touchdowns in that game. Miami's defensive prowess at home in the heat in Florida continues. The Magic Flutie took the Bills down to Carolina, and it didn't take them long to get on the boards. Eric Moulds, 20-yard touchdown from Flutie. But watch the way he catches this one through Doug Evans' hands. Remember, Evans is playing with a cast on that broken thumb, and Moulds gets the touchdown. Steve Berline is the Carolina quarterback now. He hits Wesley Walls for 23 yards, and that sets up William Floyd, who takes it in from 1 yard out on the crossbuck for the fullback. And that made the score 10-7 to Buffalo. But Flutie wasn't done. The little guy throwing from the shotgun finds Eric Moulds again. Moulds takes it 82 yards for the touchdown. Now, Eric Moulds says he looks up to Doug Flutie, but he doesn't mean that literally since he's 6'4" and Flutie's 5'9". Flutie had a pretty good game, intercepted by Kevin Green here, but the big thing for Buffalo was that Green had no sacks in this game, just the interception. Green, remember, came into the game leading the NFL in sacks. Beuerlein threw an interception to Henry Jones right back, so Carolina wasn't able to do anything with Green's pick. And then Sam Cowart tackles Steve Beuerlein. Bruce Smith recovers the fumble. You see Cowart's tackle there, forcing the ball loose. And that sets up Thurman Thomas on a 17-yard touchdown run. That made it 27-7 to the Bills, and the final score was 30-14 there. Doug Flutie has now started 16 games. That's one NFL season in his career. His record is 11-5. 11-5, folks, will get you into the playoffs. And the Atlanta Falcons traveled up to New Jersey to play the New York Jets. Steve DeBerg, the 44-year-old who's been out of football for 4 years, gets the start because Chris Chandler's out, and there's still some life left in those old legs. But Vinny Testaverde's the starter for the Jets. He hits Kyle Brady on a 26-yard gainer, and that sets up Curtis Martin on a 2-yard touchdown run, gives the Jets a 7-0 lead. Steve DeBerg, well, he was all burned out by this point, couldn't run anymore. Victor Green, watch on the lower part of your screen. On the blitz, safety blitz, forces the ball loose. Jerome Henderson picks it up, 54-yard touchdown for the Jets. It's 14-0. It was 14-3 at the half in the third quarter. Curtis Martin on his way to 101 yards. He gets 9 the tough way here. That started a long drive that ended when Testaverde hit Keyshawn Johnson in the corner of the end zone, 12 yards for the touchdown, 21-3. Tough night for Steve DeBerg, a tough day, that is. The deflection intercepted by Mo Lewis. Remember, last season, 0-6 for the Falcons when Chris Chandler didn't start. You can make that 0-7 now, and hoping that Chandler will be back next week.
Yes, indeed. So the Vikings and the Broncos, they still don't know how to lose, but...
Celebrating. And Jerry Rice came into this game needing one catch to break Art Monk's record of 183 consecutive games. Tony Banks decided he'd help him on the first play of the game. He throws in an interception right to Darnell Walker so that San Francisco gets the ball. And on the second play of the game, guess who Steve Young looks for in the end zone? Jerry Rice, 184 straight games with catches. That was his 13th NFL record. 7-0 lead for the Vikings. Sorry, for the 49ers. And, second interception for Darrell Walker, still in the first quarter. And that led to a touchdown pass to Irv Smith that made it 14-3 for the Niners. It was a tough day all around for Tony Banks. He throws yet another interception. Marquise Pope getting this one. Pope got the start ahead of Antonio Langham. Then Banks on the scramble, sacked by Roy Barker. Barker had 4 sacks in this game. Nothing was going right for Tony Banks. Walker dropped that, or it would have been his third interception. Ken Norton knocked down another Banks pass. And then after a touchdown pass from Steve Young to Terrell Owens, Jeff Wilkins, the former 49er, recovers his own onside kick. I've never seen that before. I can never remember seeing anyone do that. But Tony Banks fumbles on the next play. Ken Norton recovers, and then Terrell Owens on the end around, 21 yards for the touchdown. That made the score 28-10. San Francisco was never headed. They've beaten the Rams 16 straight times. As we said, Jerry Rice now has 13 NFL records, and that in itself is his 14th NFL record. Seattle against San Diego. Ryan Leaf in a quarterback for San Diego. John Freese, however, in a quarterback for Seattle, replacing the injured Warren Moon, and he finds Joey Galloway, who decides to take the short stroll 81 yards into the end zone. The Aussie Darren Bennett gets the punt away. Guess who's on the other end of it? It's Joey Galloway again. Galloway takes this one 74 yards for a touchdown. That's going to put Seattle up 17-3. But as we said, Ryan Leaf is still at quarterback for San Diego, and he hits rookie Michael Ricks for the score. That's his first touchdown pass since week 1. And then Natron Means takes it in from 1 yard out, and we're all tied up at 17. All of a sudden, it's not looking so good for the Seahawks. But with Seattle in the lead, 27-20 in the last minute of the game, Leaf works San Diego down into the red zone, down to the 3-yard line. They had 3 plays from the 3. Leaf threw all 3 incomplete, and Seattle's Dennis Erickson comes out a winner. John Freese, 14 for 21 in his first start. Joey Galloway, 4 catches, but 130 yards plus that punt return. It's been that sort of season for Tampa Bay. The Demon blocker, Pat Hape, makes the catch, takes it down toward the end zone, and fumbles the ball away. Sammy Knight recovers for the Saints. Then Trent Dilfer going back to pass. And Dilfer's going to be pressured. He's going to get the ball away, but guess who? Sammy Knight with the interception. He returns at 26 yards. That set up a Doug Bryan field goal. Bryan's going to connect from 46 to give the Saints the lead. At 3-0 now, Troy Davis of the Saints fumbles. And that one's recovered by Jeff Gooch, but Trent Dilfer again couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Now, fourth quarter, 9-0. New Orleans leading. Dilfer's pass deflected. Alex Molden can't hold on to it. That gives Dilfer another chance, but Chad Cota makes the interception. That seals the game for New Orleans. Michael Husted kicked a 52-yard field goal for Tampa, but missed from 32 or 48, or we would have had a 9-9 tie. And a second game with no touchdowns. Mike Holmgren was hoping after 2 losses that he'd like the home cooking at Lambeau Field, and it didn't take long against the Baltimore Ravens. Roel Preston, 71-yard punt return 2 minutes into the game. This is the 3rd kick he's returned for a touchdown all season. Brett Favre was back in good form. He hits Mark Chmura for 16 and hits Raymond Harris for 14. Harris legs it down toward the goal line. Antonio Freeman, 4 yards for the touchdown over the middle, and Green Bay leads 14-0 at the half. Another tough day for Eric Zeier. He's got receivers open. He just can't hit him. He overthrows that one. He overthrows this one. And Brett Favre gets another chance. This time he looks for Robert Brooks, 28 yards. Takes it out of bounds. And then Brooks in the corner. Chmura on the first play, Brooks on the second one for the touchdown. Jim Harbaugh comes in relief of Zeier. Guess what? Jim Harbaugh is no more effective. He throws that punt up for Leroy Butler, and Ted Marchibroda has seen too much of this for so early in the season. Neither quarterback effective. Favre still throwing interceptions, but he's cut it down to 2 this week. Not a good sign for Green Bay, though. And Chicago going down to Tennessee. Early in the game, they try the reverse to Frankie Sanders, but it's finger-licking good for John Terry, and he takes the ball away. Barry Minter runs it right down to the 1, from which point Robert Chancey scored for the Bears. With the score 10-3 to the Bears, Air McNair on the scramble finds Derek Mason, 13 yards. That tied it up. It was 10-10 at the half. Mike Archie now on the kickoff return, fumbling the ball. The Bears' Ricky Bell recovers. That set up Jeff Jager for the field goal to put Chicago in the lead. But McNair now trying to get into position for the game-winning field goals, finds Willie Davis, but they couldn't get Al Del Greco onto the field. The punter, Craig Hentrich, tried that field goal. It was blocked, and the Bears come out the winners. The Bears are 3-5. Now, how in the world are the Bears 3-5? And finally, Oakland against Cincinnati. The boy coach, John Gruden. He's got Donald Hollis in at quarterback. Donald Hollis only completed 9 passes the whole game, but that one to Tim Brown went for a touchdown to start things off. Napoleon Kaufman was the story on the ground all game long. He has a go at the official there as well, knocking him over. Kaufman again on the ground, putting them up, but Kaufman gets stopped short of the TD. Look at the swarm by the Bengals on this one, just driving Kaufman out of bounds. Now with Oakland up 14-7 on a James Jett touchdown pass from Hollis, Neil O'Donnell is sacked. Darrell Johnson does the sack. Lance Johnstone picks up the ball. Lance Johnstone takes it in 49 yards on the recovery. That made it 21-7. Neil O'Donnell intercepted by Eric Allen. He bobbles the ball. He has a little conference with Marquise Walker there and decides he will return it after all. That was all she wrote for Oakland. Now, John Gruden was arrested for drunk driving after they won the 7-6 game against San Diego. How do you think he's going to celebrate after this one? And now standings in the AFC, Miami in the lead. Buffalo surprisingly at 4-3. The Patriots have slumped down to 4-3. The Jets are also at 4-3. This one's going to run right down to the wire. In the Central, Pittsburgh have a chance to pull even with Jacksonville tonight if they can beat Kansas City. None of the other three teams seem to want to assert themselves. And Denver undefeated. Oakland right behind them. Oakland. Kansas City have a chance to pull even with Oakland. Seattle's back in winning form, but of course that was against San Diego. In the NFC least, Dallas is in the lead. They had the bye. Remember, Arizona and the Giants in second. Philadelphia and Washington dropping fast. In the Central, the Vikings remain unbeaten. Green Bay 5-2. Tampa Bay still struggling, but Chicago getting back on their feet. And out in the West, San Francisco have established themselves out of Atlanta, who need Chris Chandler back. The Saints are still winning. St. Louis is dropping like a stone. When they get to the bottom, they'll find Carolina waiting for them there.
Oh, bless. So, I'm particularly against the Chiefs, and as ever, our commentators are Boomer Esiason.